as our Ian Rappaport now tweeting after an initial report by Jay Glazer. Rappaport says the Cowboys have officially fired Coach Jason Garrett, and Garrett has allowed them to do so. Source confirms to Ian. Obvious, but now done. Something we've been talking about since the Cowboys season officially came to a close with an Eagles win in Week 17 that won the NFC East and eliminated the Cowboys from the playoffs officially. So Jason Garrett's tenure in Dallas now reportedly officially over here. This is something we've been talking about, obviously quite a bit. And look, I think the lack of playoff success for Jason Garrett, just one playoff win in his seasons in Dallas is eventually what did him in as the Cowboys were unable to get back to the highest level.
Yeah, and our reporters reported on this network all year that Jason Garrett needed to have a deep run in the playoffs, possibly even get to the Super Bowl in order to keep his job. And so we know that Jerry Jones recently have put all his resources into the team, signing all your star players, hoping to make a Super Bowl run. And when it didn't happen, obviously there were a lot of disappointment, and you wonder right at the end of the season, TD, what took so long? Why did it take a full week for us to get to this point where you finally say Jason Garrett has been let go?
And just like a player, right? When you don't perform, you are at risk of losing your job. And Jason Garrett understands that that's the business. You have to win games. You got to win in the postseason. And so we kind of saw this coming. Jerry Jones said this. He said that this year he's going to judge him off of his playoff success. Yeah. Well, he didn't go to the playoffs this year.
You heard it right there. That's it right there. That's all I need to play. He did not go to the playoffs this year. That was a report right there. NFL Network about Jason Garrett being fired by the Dallas Cowboys. My cousin, he lives up here in Frisco. I live in McKinney. And he texted me as soon as he thought that Jason Garrett was fired. We all thought that Jason Garrett was fired, but they actually just fired him. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was today, if I'm not mistaken. But the Dallas Cowboys had it was like a subpar season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if you keep this coach for this long, I mean, you had him for 9+ years. This was going to be going into his 10th year, if I'm not mistaken. The Cowboys went 8-8. They were second in the NFC East. They averaged 27 points per game, which is actually pretty good because the Cowboys had a great offense this year. Offensive coordinator was Kellen Moore. Defensive coordinator was Rob Marinelli. But the Cowboys, this is like one of the teams that you always expect. If the Cowboys are good, it's almost like the NFL is better. A lot of guys talk about, who the Cowboys are going to hire and how it's going to work out. And my thing is, man, when you hire a coach for the Cowboys, it's like it's certain criteria that you got to understand. If you're going to be a coach and you're going to get hired, it's like the Cowboys do it like this. Cowboys are saying, okay, we're going to hire you as a head coach, but we're going to keep our offensive coordinator. We're going to hire you as a head coach, but we're going to keep our defensive coordinator. We're going to hire you as a head coach, but you're going to be a puppet. So basically, that's what the Dallas Cowboys are all about. Until Jerry Jones actually steps away from the Dallas Cowboys are not going to be able to do anything. That's just how I feel. They've had some successful seasons. They've been pretty close. Dak Prescott's first season, actually, they were 13-3. You thought that they were actually going to win the Super Bowl the first year. Let's look at some stats, though. Especially, I'm talking about stats from this year in particular, and it's strange because the Dallas Cowboys didn't achieve everything that you thought that they would achieve this year from their offensive production, which makes you lead to what happened to the defense, okay? Zeke ran for 1,352 yards, 12 TDs. Dak threw for 4,902 yards and 30 TDs, all right? It makes you wonder what happened to the Dallas Cowboys. Only one thing you can say is that the defense didn't really step up, all right? So my thing is, look, until you get the system set up for the Dallas Cowboys that needs to be set up, because I feel like There's no way that this thing is going to work the way it's working out with the Dallas Cowboys, the way these guys got it set up. Jerry Jones is going to be Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is going to be in front of the mic. He wants to be the man in front of the mic. This is his team. You know what I mean? It's not, he doesn't want a coach to have his team. Go back and look at when they won their Super Bowls. Go back and look at it. All right. Jimmy Johnson came in. All right. They were like, 1-12 the first year. All right. And then they built on that. You know what I mean? If they weren't 1-12 the first year, they were something like that. But they built on it. Jimmy Johnson brought in some guys, Michael Irvin, running backs, Troy Aikman, these guys, man, all these guys he brought in, they won that Super Bowl, and they did not let Jimmy Johnson come back because Jimmy Johnson knew. Jimmy Johnson was like, dude, Jerry Jones, you need to step back. Let me run this with my players that I brought in. Let me go ahead and do this, and let me do what I do best with my players, and we're going to keep winning this thing over and over and over, and the Dallas Cowboys would have a dynasty over and over and over again. And that's what should have happened. They shouldn't have fired Jimmy Johnson. Brought in somebody else, another coach. They shouldn't have brought in another coach. Why would you bring in another coach? What do you need to bring in another coach for with these players that you know that you can win a Super Bowl with? It makes no sense. You brought another coach. He won one. Okay, that's fine. Nothing else happened after that. Dude, I'm telling you right now, man. If they would have kept Jimmy Johnson with these players, with the Dallas Cowboys would still be a super relevant team to this day, man. That's how I feel. I think that you should have let Jimmy Johnson be the coach to this day. I know that sounds silly. I think that Jimmy Johnson was the best thing that ever happened to the Cowboys. Best thing that ever happened to the Cowboys. Now, you can bring in Bill Parcells and, whatever you want to say about Bill Parcells. Okay, he came back and he helped rebuild the Dallas Cowboys again. You know what I'm saying? He discovered Tony Romo, and then all of a sudden everybody was like, Tony Romo was the Dallas Cowboys savior, this and that. Tony Romo, this and that. Man, Tony Romo was good between the hashes. He won y'all some games. Y'all had some great seasons, especially with Terrell Owens, man. But I'm just here to say that the Dallas Cowboys will be great again when the Jones family steps away. Now, it may not be the entire family that steps away, period, per se, what could happen, but I feel like that Jerry Jones needs to kind of step away. I feel like they need to have a general manager, just somebody else that can come in and just shed some light on what they think the right direction would be for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, right now, they're interviewing for head coaches for the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they interviewed Marvin Lewis. He was the past head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and then Mike McCarthy, which was the past head coach for Green Bay Packers. And until you get that whole perspective of that Jones or out of there, which they actually brought the Dallas Cowboys to relevance again after Landry and all that, Dallas Cowboys have a big history, and I get that. These Dallas Cowboys fans are, to me, sometimes unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? They hated on the Titans. They didn't even think the Titans were going to win anything. I'm not speaking on all the Dallas Cowboys fans, but I'm just saying it's almost every year. It's like y'all think that y'all are going to the playoffs like every year. It's like every year. But y'all need to be realistic, man. Seriously. Now, me living here, I live in McKinney, Texas, just north of Dallas, which is the same thing. Metroplex, all of that, Fort Worth, Frisco, Prosper, whatever you want to call it. You guys need to come to the conclusion that you do have a good team, but you're not going to win it every year. Look at the teams. You're not the Patriots. The Patriots have won it every year, and you see they lost this year by my Tennessee Titans yesterday. Okay, so you're not going to beat that team, but if you do establish a good hardcore base, you get in some good coaches, you get some guys in here, man, and I guarantee you, man, you guys are going to be good again. because the talent you already got on that roster, Dak, Zeke, you got some defensive players. Van der Bosch was hurt this year. He had a neck injury. You still got some other players, other linebacker. You got some defensive players, but you definitely gotta go through the draft again. I feel like you need some more cornerbacks. I can't name everybody on your squad, because I'm not a true professional like that. But I can tell you like this: from watching you play, you need some cornerbacks and some safeties. That's real talk. You guys are always pretty good up front, but you guys need some guys on the back end. That's what it looks like. All right. So it is what it is, man. But I will say this though. I did like what Kellen Moore did this year, y'all's offensive coordinator. I feel like he was pretty good as far as like his play calling and whatnot. Now the defense did not step up as well as I thought they would. And especially key games. The last game, what happened to y'all in the Philadelphia game? That's the game that Dallas Cowboys should have clinched. They lost 9-17. That's the game I did not understand. It's like, if you know you got to win the division, and this is the game that you know you got to win, you should have came out. Okay, it was in Philly. I get that. I get it. It's in Philly, but you should have came out, man. Y'all should have won that game, man. It's like y'all, I don't even know what y'all did in that game, man. Then y'all came out the last game and won 47-16 against the Redskins. But by that time, man, it was just too late, man. But I feel like, man, y'all do got some good players. Y'all got some keys to the ignition, and I feel like y'all should take off. That's for sure. Looking forward to what Dak Prescott is going to do, and Zeke, since he got that new contract. You do got some wide receivers. You do got pieces to the puzzle, which I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going to take off here pretty soon. So we should see them in playoffs. My name is William Allen. This is Sports Talk. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you soon. We'll talk to you, especially when we observe all the other teams in NFL, which I plan to talk about pretty soon. But we had to get on these Dallas Cowboys because they needed to be talked about, especially with that fan base. Thank you for joining me.